Welcome to the Loot Fiends podcast. I'm RNG Gorilla,
And I'm Lazy Silver.
and this is episode 1 from Azurewrath to Zul'Gurub.
Loot Fiends is called such as we are two guys addicted to loot. If a game has loot in it, we're there. From Destiny to Diablo, WoW to Path of Exile.
Not you, Anthem.
Well, maybe depending on the next update. So, RNG Gorilla. I gotta shorten that. How about Ringo?
Sure.
Alright. Ringo, let's chat a bit about our history with loot games. What got us into them? What got us addicted to them? What we love about them. So I know I go further back than you playing loot games, so I'm gonna start out and feel free just to chime in whenever you're ready. So it all started for me, I guess, when I picked up a magazine. I don't even remember what year it was. Must have been 97, earlier than that. Anyway, picked up a magazine, and back then, because I'm an old man, PC gaming magazines had demo discs in them. That was the only way to get the demos. The internet wasn't able to download them and whatnot yet. So picked up one of these, and there was a little game on it I wanted to try called Diablo. And I thought, wow, that looks cool. That's a cool name. It's different. So I picked it up, popped that disc in, and started playing, and instantly I was hooked. Walked down to the first dungeon, took one swing with the sword. I started out as a warrior. I started out and swung a sword, killed a goblin, or a skeleton, I think it was. Gold popped out, a new weapon, and I was hooked. I just got an upgrade. If it was going to be more than this, I was in. So we just went from there. 2 or 3 of my friends got addicted to it just as bad as I did, and we just hammered it. Diablo 1, played it on PC for a long time, then again on PlayStation when it came out for PlayStation, because that was big. We didn't have any networking gear, so we couldn't play multiplayer. We couldn't play over the internet. Battle.net hadn't been invented yet, so on PlayStation we could finally play 2-player, and that was huge for us, man. That was awesome. And then from there, the word Diablo clone was invented, right? Everything after that was a clone for a long time, until they coined the phrase ARPG. But the next one was Diablo 2, and I think that's where Ringo came in.
Yeah, that was... There's a lot of productivity lost in the real life market there from me for a good 2 to 3 years from Diablo 2. And we had just shitty dial-up modem back then. I remember we got wireless for an ISP, and it was, like 512 down, and I don't even know if it was probably just a question mark for the upload speed and or frowny face emoji, but whatever. I just hammered it all day, every day. Just chasing that next big drop. You get a new set item, and you're like, oh man, I don't even play Druid, but man, I do now. It was really revolutionary for the time. It still holds up to this day. Just the diversity, the chase, I guess. I don't know if I've played a game since or just ever, other than Diablo 2, that has the ultimate chase. There's always something bigger, better that you can get. I mean, there's still guys on Twitch today, 20 years after launch, trying to complete Holy Grails where, they get one of every unique item in the game, and they're still not done. Just to show you what kind of draw, what kind of power, what kind of, I guess you can call it an addiction that game can really lay in your roots. And much like Diablo, I guess taking that to other games, I guess I've taken that chase to other games too, right? Because, I'm always looking for the next Diablo. Right, it's transpired outside of just the game to real life, because I've never found anything that quite scratches the itch like Diablo 2 did.
You can find bits and pieces of it in other games here and there. I mean, take Borderlands for example. We both like Borderlands 3. It's a great game.
Amazing game.
I love Borderlands 1 and 2 as well. We came up on those. Those are both banging games. And I think what really drew them to me is I saw an interview. I forget who it was. Maybe it was with Randy Pitchford or one of those guys.
Right.
High up, but he was in a magazine, and they said, what was your inspiration for this? And he said, I want to make Diablo, but you shoot things. At least I think that was the quote.
That sounds pretty. That sounds accurate.
We'll go with it. Don't fact check us. Do fact check us. Anyway. So, but that was what really got me interested, and I was really hyped for that game going in. And I really like what they're doing with Borderlands 3. recently. I haven't played the newest patch, but the one before was really good, really fun. What was it?
The Leviathan one or the Lovecraftian one?
The Lovecraftian one, that was really cool. I was thinking the event, the one.
Oh, the cartels.
The cartel event.
Yeah, the cartel event was sweet.
But yeah, I love the little updates they're doing here and there, almost taking like a little, mixing in a little Path of Exile approach to that with the leagues, and that's really cool to me because it keeps the game fresh and different. So I guess after D1, D2, those were both huge for us. We both got into WoW heavy. Ringo more than I did.
Yeah, I've got probably close to 600 real life days played, and I'm not like proud's not the word I would use. I guess shame kinda. I mean, I had fun for a good like 7 of those days, so I guess that's good. And that's a solid week of enjoyment. Please do not convert that to a fraction. I will cry.
I got into it a little less. I was what you would deem a casual at WoW. Never really raided much outside of LFR, and a couple of times people drug me into Kara during BC, but that was about it. Yeah, I was pretty bad at the game, but I had a lot of fun. Both played a lot of Borderlands. I played the early ones a lot more. What else are we missing here? Destiny and Division, the looter shooters.
Yeah, I missed out on Destiny 1. I've played, I'd say, over 1,000 hours of Destiny 2. Probably similar on Division 1. Division 2, significantly less. I mean, I don't think I've broken 150 hours. I'm probably at about $120 on that. Just can't get into it like I did the first one, which I really think the first one of that was a fluke on how good it ended up being. But yeah, the looter shooter genre is kind of interesting because no one's nailed it, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, even the guys that invented the Diablo tried to do a looter shooter at once.
That was Hellscape, right? London?
Hellgate London.
Hellgate London, that's right.
Yeah, it didn't go great. I never actually got to play it, and it was, since it had to deal with online servers, it was gone by the time I got around. I've seen there is a mod out for it where you can kind of still play it, so I was thinking about checking that out at one point, but yeah, it might be a project for another day.
Right.
But yeah, I actually started playing Destiny 1, a group of friends. We all started kind of playing together. One guy in our party was just a nutter and grinded up 13, what were those coins called? It's the coins you had to buy from Zerg.
Were they like strange coins or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, strange coin sounds right. But he actually grinded them up and bought this weird rocket launcher like week 2. And the rest of us kind of made fun of him, and later we had to eat those words because it turned out Galahorn's good. So then he got to make fun of us for the next 11 months until Zer sold it again, and while the rest of us grinded for him. Out of the 6 of us, probably 1 or 2 of us, I think it was only 1 of us actually got it as a drop. But the rest of us just had to suffer for 11 months. It was brutal, and he made lots of fun of us, deservedly so. Which brings me to our first topic, and kind of circling back to an old topic, items and how important they are. Destiny 2, the subreddit, just had a big event recently. Did you see that, Ringo?
Galahorn Day.
Oh yeah. Exactly what we were talking about. So Galahorn Day is a celebration of the 11th month later that Zer sold Galahorn again. So it was a very happy and joyous day in the community. So the subreddit celebrated that, which kind of ties into what we're about here, that items are the kind of the reason we play these games. Items are extremely powerful, and they're what drives us to play.
Right, they're the meat in the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and Galahorn just goes to prove that. 1 part gameplay, 1 part items. That's pretty much my philosophy on them, and pretty much what I love about them. So yeah, so let's talk about like some of your favorite items in the games. Galahorn obviously being one from Destiny. What else you got, Ringo? Let's just start in the beginning. D1, one of my favorite ones was Arcane's Valor. As a chess piece. It was actually part of a quest, but it was awesome in the beginning if you happened to actually generate that quest, because all that was random. D2, what was your big love item?
Oh, it'd have to be 1,000 Voices, the laser beam of death that's totally balanced. If you're listening, anyone, it's balanced. It's not, but the drop off a Riven that has like a ridiculously low drop rate. You just it feels good. It feels fun. Very satisfying explosions. It's kind of like killing somebody with a highlighter. You just kind of highlight the screen in a straight line or zigzag, whatever, and then when it pops, everyone's dead that touched it. That's definitely one. And then the Daft Punk helmet for Titan, the one where it glows like you're Daft Punk. And you can just shoulder charge. I've spent matches in Crucible where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna shoulder charge with this since melee kills recharge your melee, and I'd put down 20 packs just shoulder charging and watching Netflix or Twitch or whatever in the background, and that was just fun, like shenanigans, things like that. But at the same time, still feel powerful.
Yeah. All right. So feel free to send him all the hate mail. I guess I always kind of like Sunshot.
Sunshot's awesome.
It's a fun gun.
Yeah, and they buffed it too. That was always the thing, right? Is like, and this happens in any game with itemization, especially when you put like power levels on things, right? Which is kind of a newer thing. Not so much in ARPGs, but like definitely looter shooters, MMOs, World of Warcraft, And that's one of the funnier things to me. World of Warcraft released an April Fool's joke about putting a E-performance number, an EP number, in the game so you could see how big someone's EP was, right?
Oh, and then they did it with Gear Score, right?
A year later. They literally, a year later, were like, hey, you remember how we were making fun of everybody that talks about that? Fuck you, it's in. And that happened. You don't get that in games like Path of Exile, Diablo. I can't speak on Wolcen. I haven't played it.
I tried to play it.
Yeah, you did. You did try. That was a solid effort. It's just hard when everything's down for 24 hours. But with numbers and everything, it's hard to get a gun that you like, but you can do 3 to 4 times the damage with something else.
Oh, sure, because I guess I was playing with Sunshot when it wasn't, before I got buffed again. I haven't played Destiny in a while. So
the damage is still the same. All they did was they took the magazine size from 8 to 12, I believe.
Oh, it's still nice.
Well, that's huge in PvE too, because you don't have to reload as much. But in PvP, right, it made it actually kind of meta for a minute.
Gotcha. It was just always a fun gun. I liked equipping it, just running around blowing up stuff.
Oh yeah, anytime you had a solar kill quest or anything like that, Sunshot was just amazing to use. It was so fun, just the giant on-screen explosions, and they chain.
Oh yeah, it was pretty sweet. I dug it. So the other D2, how about Diablo 2? What's one of your big items out of that? You've got so many good ones to choose from.
Yeah, there's a ton. Favorite, can I use a set, like a whole set? Because I love Tower Ashes.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
I do not play melee. Okay, I don't want to be. I'm gonna bash it. Why would you play melee? Okay, like, think you want to do like 2/3 of the damage that I do, but also just get smacked in the face by the boss the whole time? No. So I'm gonna go with Tower Ashes because I love playing casters in all games.
Oh, that's fair. Tower Ashes is an amazing set. The magic find, the skills, it has everything you want. I like the slightly more versatile items. I love Harlequin Crest. It's an amazing helm. It does amazing things.
Yeah, Shaco is. You gotta love an item that can be used in any build.
Oh yeah.
It's just like kind of like Stone Jordan. I guess I'd throw that into the hat as well.
Oh yeah, very much so. It was used as a currency because it was just useful for everything. But yeah, there's some just so good ones out of Diablo 2. So, moving on to the next one. Let's see, Borderlands. What's your big Borderlands gun? I think I know the answer. And would you like a piece of cake?
Yeah, it definitely be that yellow cake before it got nerfed. That thing was just degenerate. It reminds me of you ever seen the first RoboCop movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, like so the bad guy that is in charge of OCP hires Eric Foreman's dad from that 70s show and his buddies, and he gives them all these like basically portable like rocket launcher around things, and they're like blowing up a city block at night just testing it because it's Detroit. That might have been actual footage. I don't know. I wasn't there. I've heard. I consider RoboCop a documentary.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. He did Walk on Water.
Yeah, and that is how the yellow cake felt. You know, like I point it, I click it, and everything's dead that was near this area. And that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Some would argue it was a bit overpowered. I would tend to agree with those people. But it was fun.
That is propaganda.
It was fun. For a bit. Continuing on with looter shooters, The Division. What was one of your favorite weapons out of that? Or gear sets, I guess?
Sentry, unnerved, balanced.
Oh, when you can still use it with fully automatic guns?
Yeah.
Get you the little vector or little AUG action?
That's the way God made that gun. Okay?
I don't think that was quite how they intended that set to be used, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. I guess just one exotic, it'd have to be the house that came in later.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the house.
The house was disgusting.
It was a lot of freaking fun. That thing would just dump bullets. So yeah, it was my favorite one out of that. How about Path of Exile?
Impulse's Broken Heart.
Impulses?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah?
Love it.
Really?
It destroys everything.
Oh, it destroys corpses. Yeah, that's really nice.
Oh, yeah, the clear, everything. It's my hands down favorite exotic in that, or unique, I should say, in Path of Exile. It's definitely Impulses.
Interesting. I like it. My favorite's Eternity Shroud because it kind of functions as a set item when it's not.
Yeah, Eternity Shroud's pretty sweet because it's the only thing that Path has that's like could be construed as a set item because they don't do sets. Just because everything has to be shaper influenced, and it gives you just a metric ton of damage. Yeah, Eternity Shroud's sweet. I like that one.
I like it a lot just because it forces you to invest in it in a certain way to make your character extremely powerful. Which is really an interesting design choice, I think.
Right.
So what about WoW? I know you played a metric shit ton of WoW.
I really liked the Legion legendaries a lot. Like, a lot.
Okay.
I didn't like how you got them. I did not like that it was just pure bullshit, RNG.
Right.
That was not good, and especially at launch, the pity timer was like 3 to 4 hours or 3 to 4 weeks to generate one. Like it just didn't happen.
Weren't people just re-rolling characters to try to get one they wanted?
There were screenshots of like, and I don't want to accuse anybody, but there were screenshots of Method and I forget the other guild that used to be Method, and then they split off, and then they weren't Method, but whatever. They were buying people's accounts that had absolute shit gear that just stumbled into the best in slot legendary. There was a guy in our guild. I played Mage, shocker, and he played Mage. And my second legendary was Coralon's Bracers, which were best in slot. And holy shit, those were fun. They felt great, insane damage. 2 buttons put you at the top of every DPS meter. Balance. That's the way I like to play the game. I believe in fair time for everybody.
I've been gathering that.
But he would re-roll. He was, let's see, he started with his mage, got 4 absolute, like the 4 worst legendaries for his mage. Rerolled a Death Knight. First 2 legendaries, worst. Demon Hunter, shit ones. Like he kept getting like Sephu's Secret, like the generic ones before they buffed it.
Right.
And he was a great player. He's probably better than I was, just like raw ability. He was really good. But to see people go through that really sucks. But the Legion legendaries, because WoW hasn't had a lot of legendaries, you know?
Right.
You got like the Hand of Rag, you got the ICC Healy Mace. That was cool.
You got my personal favorite, the Corrupted Ashbringer.
Corrupted Ashbringer is badass. You got the Warglaze Vazanov.
Oh, of course, yes.
But that's, those are legendaries that require 40 people working together for several months.
Oh, yeah.
To get one person an item, right? Because a lot of those are quest related. Like almost, I think everyone we just listed was quest related.
Yep.
That's what made Legion cool. Like, you just got your own. Everybody had legendary.
Oh yeah, I thought Legion was really awesome, and even from the your legendary artifact thingy weapon was really sweet. I just liked the way they tied that all into lore, which was a big thing I loved about the Corrupted Ashbringer. That and I mained Paladin for all of Burning Crusade and all of original WoW. So like, I just wanted one. Never got one, but I wanted it hard.
Well, Nax is about to hit in WoW Classic, dude. Go no life that shit. Let's go.
No, I'm not good enough at that game. I am in nowhere.
It's Classic WoW.
It doesn't matter. I would fail hard. Buttons, dude. I no.
It's harder to take a piss than raid in Classic WoW.
I don't think that's probably the case.
If you're wearing a belt, you have graduated to Burning Crusade at least. Because that had 2 tiers of difficulty.
Well, you remember what happened when I tried raiding with you. That was just failure all around.
Okay, for you it's easier to beat.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay. Remember when we started playing HOTS?
Oh, yeah.
And that guy called me worst Diablo NA?
Yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah, I'm not actually very good at games, people.
Yeah,
I just love them.
He personally attacked you. He was pissed at you.
He was. Yeah, evidently I was a bad tank. I'm too bad for even the most casual of MOBAs. I would hate to see what would happen in League of Legends or one of those. But, yeah. Yeah, they didn't have a ton of uniques in WoWs or legendaries or whatever you want to call them. That highest tier. But they did do a lot of sets.
Tons of sets.
And sets were a huge deal, almost more of a deal than that, right?
Right.
So that's another thing you see in a lot of games in Diablo and, Diablo 2, I should say, and Division. Sets always seem to come into play. Big time in Diablo 3, obviously. So, speaking of sets, they seem like a hard thing to really balance.
Balancing it as in they're either overpowered, they're garbage, and regardless, they kind of force you how to play the game.
Right. So we go with you get them overpowered, where sets are the best thing in the game, and we end up with Diablo 3. Basically, you get a set, and your set tells you what skills to play.
Right.
There's no real flexibility. Sure, you can pick your 2 to 3 uniques or 6 or whatever it is to throw on with it, but there's definitely a lot less combinations than in something where sets aren't as powerful, like a D2, for example.
Yeah, there's no set bonuses. No, D2. You mean Diablo?
Yeah, Diablo 2.
Sorry, we're talking about 3 games to start with D right now.
Yeah, it's a little awkward. We got to come up with a methodology.
Yeah. So Diablo 2, yeah, it has set items, but there's a lot of sets that are builds that use 0 of them, or if they use one, it's because you found it and it works. There's a lot of sorceress builds that don't use any Tower Ashes, but they might use the Ami or the chest because the chest is bonkers too.
Oh yeah, both of those are just really, really powerful items. So yeah, it's interesting to me. So that to me is the sign of where it should be balanced, right? Some builds may use a few pieces, some builds may not. But it's all. I even saw one looking. We started playing Path of Diablo recently.
Fun time,
great time until DDoS. But I saw an Amazon build that was using 3-piece Talrasha. It's the Sork set, but they can equip it and it had good bonuses. They were just great items. But the D3 methodology of it forcing a meta, I understand why they wanted to do it, because it does make the game a bit easier to balance when there's limited options. But I'm a huge fan of customization in games, so not having that flexibility and having every demon hunter, if you're wearing UE, you're the same build as every other UE character.
Well, yeah, like it goes past even just forcing a meta. It tells you how to fucking play the game. It's, okay, here's your 4 sets that you can choose from. This season, we are going to buff one of these. Okay, now if you look at numbers, these 3 all give you like a 6,000 damage bonus. This one gives you 12.5 million. Right? And it goes past, like, because when I think meta in like a Diablo game, because, you know, you're at a disadvantage if you play solo. 100%. Right?
Oh, yeah, in Diablo 3, yes.
Yeah, in Diablo 3, 100%. So when I think meta in Diablo 3, I'm thinking more of like
4-man meta or 3-man
yeah,
meta.
right. Like what's the ladder meta? What are people pushing leaderboards with? And when you force people to play games or sets, you know, it's one thing to force people to play sets, but it's another thing to force, like,
Skill selection.
well, you're fucking stupid if you bring in Witch Doctor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or for a long time, until Impale came out and got crazy turbo buffed, you're insane to bring a Demon Hunter to a 4-man if you're pushing. Like, what are you doing? What are they going to do? Nothing. They don't do great boss damage. Their AoE is worse than a wizard. And that's the thing. Like, it doesn't just dictate the meta. It dictates inclusion completely, you know? And you run into that with other games, too. Like World of Warcraft. You know, there's times... Well, you played Paladin.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Ret Paladin is just a laughingstock until the patch that they accidentally broke them. And then they stayed good during Wrath.
Oh, that was such a fun patch. Oh, I made one of my buddies so mad because, like, the Paladin, Red Paladin, he's got that super buff, and they were just doing insane damage, and I was decked out in blues.
The buff was accidental. It was because they allowed magic power to apply to attacks.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
And then they removed that in Wrath, right? They removed magic power completely as a stat.
Right, which was like, what, a few weeks later, because that patch where Ret Pallies were busted was right at the end.
Yeah, it was the pre-patch, but the pre-patch lasted like 3 months.
Yeah, it was fun as hell. But yeah, one of my buddies had full decked out purple. It was Battlegrounds gear, I think. So it was PvP gear,
like gladiator gear.
Yeah, it was. He was a warrior, and he would duel me, and I was decked out in blues with like some purple crafted sword I had gotten somebody to make for me, and I was just whooping his ass.
Right.
Like it was just ridiculous. And then that's when Death Knights started coming in, and that was all kinds of craziness because they were death gripping people in Booty Bay and slinging them under the world. And oh yeah, it was good fun. It was a little bit of a chaotic time in World of Warcraft, but it was a good time.
Yeah, like set items in, I don't know. I'm torn in them because they are cool things to chase, and they can make an ability that had just been marginally okay, or like you used it on your rotation when everything else was on cooldown, to build enabling. Like the example that comes to mind is during Warlords of Draenor, the Metamorphosis, the Demon Mastery set for Warlocks. Hand of Gul'dan was just, it gave you a second charge. With one charge, like, it was cool. You know, it was good. It threw out some damage, but it was on a pretty big cooldown. Getting an entire second charge of that, because it hit like a freight train, was insane. It completely changed your rotation. It opened up all kinds of new possibilities for damage. It was fun. But, you know, even WoW, it kind of forces you into what you're playing, right? Like, your set bonus has changed depending on what you spec into, and, you know, everything has 3 specs, but you still, like, I don't know, WoW's a little different just because the spell book's not as big, right?
Oh, sure, it's a different style of game. Like,
so
they're both loot games, but one's
I guess
a very different
it doesn't really force you what to play because you're limited on options anyway. It's like, you know, if you're a Frost Mage, you're spamming Frostbolt. You know what I mean? Like, you're spamming Fireball if you're a Fire Mage. It's not like, well, I'm a Fire Mage, and this set bonus is only good for Frostbolt, so now I have to play Frostbolt. No, that's not how it works. It's just, WoW sets just kind of enhance what you're already doing.
Right.
Which is fun. And sometimes they put a twist on it. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's just absolute garbage. But in, like, ARPGs, Diablo 3 is just, man, it's a shit show. Don't get me wrong, it is probably the most fun you can have in a game, or upwards of like the most fun you can have in a game for about a 20 to 30 hour burst. But then after that, it's just,
it's amazing for a weekend game, or depending on how much playtime you can pack in for a good week or two. But it kind of loses its luster and a little fast, at least for me. The end game is kind of non-existent. Sure, there's grifts, but people have beaten the highest grift there is already.
Yeah, someone beat 150 like 2 seasons ago. So like, where do you go from there? Like, you're playing an ARPG and you literally beat the game. A game that has no end, you literally have beaten it. So like, what's the point after that, right?
It's not so much that for me as it is just, okay, I've played UE Demon Hunter 100 times. I've played Witch Doctor Specs 100 times. I've played each one 100 times. And sure, they come up with new sets here and there. I mean, I guess the most I've been into Diablo 3 is when they added Kanai's Cube, because that was actually like build different. Like, you could actually have some differences in your build. There was actually something, maybe depending on what you like, that you would differentiate you a little bit from another character.
Right, but then the problem comes in there, and they've actually gotten better recently, which is weird because they just left the game kind of alone and rotting for like 3 years, right?
Right.
And then the devs came in and they started putting decent stuff in seasons, like the season where everyone had Convention of Elements. The permanent, or not Convention of Elements. Everybody
Ring Royal
had
Grandeur.
Yeah, Ring Royal Grandeur.
That was cool because it mixed up the meta.
It was the biggest shakeup it's ever had. And then like once it went away, it was like right back to the old shit. You know what I mean? But I mean, you can't make every item powerful, and they have buffed some things. Like Manald Heal used to be absolute garbage in D3, and now it's like good. For like Archon, Sork, whatever, or Wizard. Sorry, Wizard, not Sork. We're not. Like, I'm Blizzard Entertainment, and I will not recognize the intellectual property of David Brevett because I'm grumpy. Like, that's how that comes off. And, like, honestly, fuck Blizzard for that.
Hey, there was that whole, like, thing between them. What was that on? What was it? Jay? Was that dude's name?
Jay Wilson.
Yeah, Jay Wilson. The other Wilson. The bad Wilson.
The guy that literally said...
Chris's evil twin.
The other guy, the guy that in an actual interview for Diablo 3 when he was asked, hey, what are we going to do about PvP on this? People love PvP in D2. And he said, and I quote, shut up, PvP guy. Because he doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? He had his vision, which was, what was that movie with Sandra Bullock? Bird Box? It was probably the similar vision that she had with the damn blindfold on. Just no idea where he was going. He found his way to a DVD and was like, let's put some files on it, and we'll cash in on the success of Diablo 1 and 2 and sell like 30 million copies.
I think he was a little more into it. I don't think they would have come up with the combat and how good Diablo 3 feels if there was no passion put into it. Or maybe that wasn't his passion. I don't know what goes on behind Blizzard doors. Nobody really does, except for Blizzard people. But, there's parts of Diablo 3 I love. The gameplay's amazing. The combat feels good.
Oh, yeah, it feels awesome. I play... That's actually the only class I play. Well, I can't even say I play melee in that. Like, I play Monk the most, but I play Wave of Light a lot, which is definitely not melee.
Not really, no.
So... but yeah, the combat feels fluid. There's no stutters really. Everything, and like, oh man, if you play Exploding Palm and you get that whole you get that pack of like 200 mobs you've just been building up, getting all your stacks on, and then bam, that shit's cool. I like that.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of UE Demon Hunter. I mean, I love that shit. Like, I tried playing Tornado Shot and Path of Exile because I wanted to play UE Demon Hunter again,
right?
Or at least that playstyle. And I got it like 3/4 of the way there. It still didn't quite feel as good to me, but like UE Demon Hunters, that's my jam. That's my character.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you just go fast and blow up the screen. And in an ARPG, that's
what you want to be doing.
That's what you're looking for.
Get loot faster.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty torn on sets. I guess I'd have to exclude WoW from that because they do it in a completely, like, it's like a one-off, right? Like, when they do sets. Except they took them away for Battle for Azurewrath, and they put in those garbage-ass Azurite traits that were, like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, I think set items are coming back for Shadowlands. Like, I hope they are, because it doesn't tell you how to play. It just buffs stuff you're already doing, like I said earlier. But, like, in ARPGs, looter shooters, I guess we didn't really talk about that. Like, on the Division.
Yeah, Division had sets.
Well, yeah, I know. But, like, how did you feel about them? I feel once they got them fixed, there were so many sets that were usable.
Oh, that's a great
that it was
other
fun.
Side. That's a great other side of the spectrum, right? I mean, Division 2 shows you what happens when sets aren't powerful enough, right? Like the new sets in Division 2, what is it, Patriot and...
Oh, there's like 7 or 8 of them now. Final Directive.
Yeah, I haven't played with any of the new ones, but I know at least while we were playing...
ongoing Directive. That's the skills one.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you don't feel strong in the Division 2, like, at all.
Right, like everything has super health compared to you and basically 2-taps you last time I was playing.
Yeah, even little red guys come around with, like, pretty much dressed like Joe Exotic.
Right.
And you could unload just a full clip in their face and they don't care. Red health bar, anything. I mean, what you're going to mow down red guys eventually, but they're still 2-tapping you, which is not really cool. You know what I mean?
I mean, it kind of destroys the power fantasy, right?
Right, yeah. You're this sleeper cell agent that's been activated to save the world, starting with the United States.
Get put down by one elbow from a dude in black armor.
Yeah, like that kind of kills the... And why is it every organization is just better than us in that game? You know what I mean? Imagine if the Avengers was just getting their ass kicked by, like, the League of Janitors. I'm not knocking on janitors. I very much value them. But, like, I'd have to say that Thor could kick a janitor's ass. Like,
Oh, he's a lightning god.
Right. Now, imagine if Thor went out, like, threw a lightning bolt at a dude cleaning up a Best Buy at 2 a.m. Dude got staggered, was low on health, but, like, threw his broom and just beat the shit out of Thor. That's kind of how it feels to play the Division to me.
Well, I mean, completely off topic here. I'm really interested to see how they handle that in the new Avengers game coming up. How are they going to, like, depower Thor enough to make it seem like... Or are they just going to throw huge enemies at you?
Yeah, well, I mean, let alone Thor. What about the Hulk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, you're expecting... Most games like that were, well, I guess, like the X-Men arcade game. Like, where you're just beating the shit out of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And
X-Men arcade game was great. The 4-player one
yeah.
with, like, the 3 screens wrapped around and shit. That thing was amazing.
But the only thing stopping you is, like, one of Magneto's giant robots or another mutant. Like a regular piddly soldier gets in your way. You're just, like, throwing him 4 zip codes over.
Right, yeah. So it'll be interesting how they manage to make it a loot game, because it looks very much like they want to make it a loot game.
Right.
With all the items, but still make it make sense. I'm not even sure if they can make it make sense. Like, how do you get upgrade items on the Hulk?
Right, yeah. I don't know, to give the Hulk a gun? I'd play that.
Hulk with a gun?
Yeah, I'd play that.
That seems a little odd.
Why?
Wouldn't you just rather throw a giant boulder?
What if bitch don't have Hulk money?
Oh.
Hulk smash, Hulk go jail, right?
Right.
Hulk do drive-by, maybe there's no cameras around.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, I'd play that.
You'd play Hulk with a gun.
Yeah, I'd play, like, Grand Theft Auto Hulk City.
Oh, so then you could just, if the cops come to bust you, you just Hulk out and start smashing everything.
Yeah, or you shoot him because the Hulk has a gun in this game.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Great. I hope everybody got that. RNG Gorilla wants to play Hulk with a gun.
I mean, doesn't everybody kind of want to play a game with Hulk having a gun?
I'd rather just smash. Hulk smash.
You got to have options, though.
It's his motto. Hulk smash. Well, there's variation in smashing. You can smash with a building. You can pick up a car and smash with that.
Okay, yeah.
With a bus.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Hulk. And I love everything he does. Smashing. Don't Google that, maybe. I don't know. I haven't.
Leave safe
but
search on.
Yeah, Hulk Smash is a good safe search thing. See, everybody learned something today. You're welcome.
That's your lesson for today, everybody. All right, back on track since we left there for a little bit. Back to we talked about we talked about sets, we talked about legendaries. Mm-hmm. And then we have what some games treat as absolute filler and what some games treat as the honestly most desirable items in the game, rares.
Oh, I love me a good rare item.
The randomest of the random.
Yeah.
So, So on the one side of the spectrum, rares in WoW. WoW doesn't really have rares. Unless you count blues.
Yeah, it'd have to be blues. Nobody's wearing a blue.
But WoW's much more tiered than a lot of games are.
Yeah, because, in other games, rares have the same number of stat lines, right? WoW doesn't do that.
Right.
So, a blue, which you would call, it's a magic item, but for, the WoW equivalent of a rare, has less stat lines than a purple, right?
Right.
So I guess we can't include them in that.
Right, but they mix in... Yeah, we can't really go with rares and WoW. I mean, they do mix in kind of the Titan Forging as a way to add more randomness to your items, but...
Well, that just adds a number. Well, I guess you also can get, Leech or a socket. A socket's pretty sweet. But yeah, they don't do the whole rares thing.
Too much in WoW. But if you look at, Diablo 2, rare circlets are huge.
Well, there's... Rare everything's huge. Boots. I mean, you can have rares that roll better than best in slot uniques. The uniques are best in slot because the rares, the odds of getting one to roll better is super small,
Very much so. But I do like when that rare has that higher top end than the possible uniques. PoE does that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Path is very much rares are everything. The Harvest League was enormous for that.
Oh, yeah. It really shows when you give people very specific targeted crafting, it shows how, you're basically printing an item, right? You're handcrafting an item with every single stat line you want on it.
Oh, yeah. You're just picking and choosing, I want this mod and this mod and this mod and this mod. It's the definition of min-max.
Right. It was kind of like playing this league. I had a lot of fun with it, but it was kind of like playing offline with a file editor.
Kind of.
Well,
they had hacking programs for Diablo 1 and 2 back in the day where you could edit your own items.
Right.
And it kind of felt like that, especially in Trade League. I had a lot of fun with it in SSF.
Oh, yeah. Harvest was amazing for solo self-found. If it didn't... it kind of made the game too easy, right? Well, for us, we play a lot.
I have almost 6,000 hours in Path of Exile. For anybody listening out there, yes, I am a filthy no-lifer. I love that game.
Yeah, same. I'm probably a little over 5.
Hey, yeah, a little over that. 4.5, 5.
4.5, 5, somewhere in there.
You switch clients, and so
it's harder. It's a lot harder to track.
But yeah, so we are the filthy no-lifers in that, and we'll freely admit that. When I'm working 40 hours, and a new league comes out, and I'm putting another 40 to 60 hours in league. But I have no family, I have no kids. Well, I have a family, but I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, so it's very much, it's what I choose to do with my time. But on the other side of that, I don't think it made the game too easy. In a way, yes, but in a way, no. I think it made things a lot more accessible. I liked what it did in that it made the gear you do need way cheaper. So for us, obviously, we're going for all the ridiculous quality stuff, right? The highest end of the highest end. But anything that would have been, well, how many items did you make this league that you're this is near a mirror tier item, I could sell this for 50 exalts, and you look on trade and there's ones just like it for 3 exalts.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Maybe not 3 for like actual mirror tier,
Well,
but
like 5
15.
to 5 to 10 to 15. Oh, and everything a tier below that, or 2 tiers below that, I guess I would say, is what you need to clear the game. All that stuff was dirt cheap.
Yeah.
You could throw a mega DPS build together on the cheap because, like, if an item accidentally got mana on it, well, now it's garbage in the eyes of everybody because it does put it that bit lower.
Right.
But it doesn't make your character that much weaker at all.
No, I mean, that's just the people that were kind of like, that play like us or even more than us or harder than us, however you want to phrase it, they want 6 lines of all T1 useful stats.
Oh, sure. And which, if you're playing the game for thousands of hours, that's the only thing left to find for you, right?
Right.
But I did like what it did in that it made that good quality gear a lot cheaper and a lot more accessible, so a lot more people could see the content. I did like that part of it. I didn't like the way it made, the mirror tier gear ridiculously accessible to the point where I had what I was looking for within 2 weeks. Now, granted, I will fully admit that's 80 hours. And maybe some people can only get 80 hours in the 3 months. And to them, it feels good. But that's a very difficult thing, I think, for a game to balance. Too far in one direction, you're going Diablo 3, and it's fun for a weekend because after that, you've got all your gear. But now you're just looking for your gear again with different borders. And that's not, to me, that's not compelling. It doesn't draw me into the game.
Right, it's like artificial progress.
And to me, Harvest kind of felt that way because a week in, I had everything I wanted for the character. It was 90% min-maxed. I was crushing pretty much all the content. And I put 40, probably 60 hours in to get to that point.
Right.
But it was just, to me, that felt too easy. Now, granted, it is because I play too much.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you got to look at both sides of the coin on that. What Harvest did for the average user was huge. People got to kill bosses they never thought they'd kill because the power was insane. But yeah, like, I don't know, with rare items, I mean, look at Destiny, right? Like, you're not, well, they kind of just, Destiny's so fucking weird because they kind of do the WoW thing, right? Like, you have the blue gun that doesn't roll as much as a purple gun, same with armor.
Destiny's kind of doing their own thing all around because you can't infuse in WoW. It's weird.
Right,
the infusion system is very strange to me.
Yeah, I agree. But just in terms of rares, yellows, whatever, Destiny doesn't do that. They do the exact same thing WoW does. Where here's a white item, here's a blue item, here's a purple item.
Right. Each one has more stats.
Therefore,
so it's better.
It's completely different. Now, the Division did it more like Diablo.
I really like Division 1's loot system. Even Division 2's loot system, I feel, is really good.
Yeah, it's just the loot sucks in the Division 2.
Oh, the loot only feels like it sucks because they scale everything to you.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, it takes you 3,000 bullets to kill one mob. Right. Yeah, it feels like the loot sucks. Where if the mob was toned down to where you could tell, oh, I got this new gun and now I'm 3-tapping this enemy instead of 4-tapping this enemy.
Right.
Okay, then the loot would feel
better,
obviously. But as far as loot actual design goes, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's kind of interesting. I like what they did with mod slots and stuff. It was decent.
Yeah, it was good customization for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I like that. I like Division 1. That had some really good items in it, in my opinion. I like the way they did sets eventually. Okay, Sentries was busted for a while. Reclaimers got broken for a bit. You know what I mean? But it was very interesting in how it allowed you to mix and match. And it was more interesting to me, even though it was kind of similar to the way Diablo 3 did it, in that you picked your set, You picked how many pieces you wanted to wear. They allowed you to mess with it a bit more on your other pieces because your other pieces were rares instead of legendaries. You know what I mean?
Right.
It made it a little more, my agent feels different than that agent feels different than that agent. Nobody had the exact same gear you were wearing. So to me, I liked it a bit better. And I liked what they did with sets in that one.
Yeah, I agree.
So, speaking of shooters and rare items and all kinds of fun stuff, what have you been playing this week?
Path of Diablo.
Yeah, me as well. It's really hooked me in the last few days.
Yeah, it's good. You guys should check it out. It's
maybe give the servers time to fix themselves a little bit.
Yeah, wait like a week and try it out. Or I'll let you know when I'm bored with it, and then you can check it out and crush the servers. That sounds like everybody wins.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just everybody wins with that one.
I'd say
or just you.
Yeah, everybody.
That is just you.
No, yeah, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I've been playing it this week too. I've been running a little hot. Yeah,
you've been running hot as hell, man. Like really good.
I can just last 2 days got SOJ, Mars Kaleidoscope,
2 serve runes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some lottery ticket shenanigans.
Been running a little hot. But no, it's been a lot of fun. How about a non-loot game? Let's do a loot game and a non-loot game.
Non-loot game, I've checked that. Well, I guess Fall Guys.
Yeah, you've been jamming some Fall Guys?
Fall Guys and a little bit of the new Apex Season 6 update.
Do you have more wins than Tim the Tap Man?
Well, yeah, I've turned the game on. So I have more wins than Tim the Tap Man.
Fair enough.
What have you been playing?
Outside of Path of Diablo, I've been playing Hard Space Shipbreaker.
Oh yeah, super the college loan simulator.
Yeah, pretty much. You start out with a debt of $1 billion.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay it off by breaking apart spaceships.
So community college program simulator, right? Like it's only $1 billion. You're only in for $1 billion. Yeah,
only $1 billion.
That's not. Yeah, that's like not Stanford. You know what I mean?
Here's the best part. At least these guys only charge 0.01% interest.
Oh, that's a deal.
Well, it's calculated daily, but
still,
it's like $150,000 a day, something like that. I think it was.
Yeah. Anyway, that's fine.
It's a good game. It's a very true to life. No, but no, it's kind of a puzzle game because you have to break apart the ship in a certain way to keep it from you don't want to puncture a fuel line and that'll start a chain reaction.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad news. You also got to be careful of air pressure. So, you got to depressurize the ship before you cut a hole in the hull. Otherwise, everything blows out the side.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I made that mistake a few times. But no, it's a really fun game. I can't wait to say it's in early access now. If anybody's thinking about buying it, maybe wait a little bit. Let it get a little more in the game. They're still adding ships and all kinds of cool stuff, it looks like. So, yeah, if you want to pick it up, it is a lot of fun. But yeah, I'd probably wait till full release.
Right.
Let's go into what's new. So, every segment or every episode, we want to do a what's new, what we caught on the internet this week, or what's new in the realm of loot games. I know one, I'm not sure how much of a loot game it's going to be. It looks very interesting. They just did a big kind of an expose on items, specifically weapons recently. Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
What you thinking?
It looks sweet. I want that shotgun that shoots homing missiles.
Oh yeah, that looks badass.
I've always made the joke with Destiny 2, the Ikelos shotgun. I always wanted a version that shot 8 mini Ikelos shotguns. And then they would all shoot shit for me.
Right.
And that's kind of what that does. It's scratching that itch, and I like that.
Yeah, they described that thing. That looks sweet.
Yeah, it looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I would definitely like to try that. 8 barrels, each shooting at 8 different targets. I'm interested, though, to see if they also make it so all 8 barrels can shoot at one.
Oh yeah, that could be weird for balancing. You'd have to like put a damage penalty in
something
to pull them all back in. If you put it into like just broad shot mode, you know what I mean? Like you're just basically no tracking, just shoot this shit right out the front of the barrel.
Because I could see how it'd be a little easier to balance if they just made it so, okay, you have 8 barrels that shoot 8 different targets, but if there aren't 8 targets, only 5 of them fire or whatever. Just shoot at 5 different targets. I can see that. If there's only one, it only shoots once. But if it had that flexibility to switch from like single target to AoE, so to speak.
Right, yeah.
I was doing air quotes.
He was.
So, having that ability seems way too strong almost. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they do with that. And I mean, there's not even like an open beta or a closed beta for it yet.
Yeah.
So we're a little ways off.
Well, I'm really interested. Also, I think the biggest thing I took away from that weapons trailer was that where they showed that gun coming apart in the very beginning, and they showed
that was cool.
Scope switching.
Yep.
If those are like mods, like if you can mod your guns,
right?
I'm really hoping that kind of stuff has like stats on them, right? So you can find better scopes with better stats.
Oh yeah.
I just want all the little nitty gritty like just details and stats and all the things.
You want to be able to min-max like additional layers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hard because it's what I do. But I don't know. Witcher 3 had a lot of stats on gear. I didn't play it a ton.
Man, I have a hard time getting into that.
The combat was rough for me.
Combat's sloppy. I know it's gorgeous. Still gorgeous.
It's a beautiful game.
I just don't know that much about the backstory, so it's hard for me to get like really invested. Maybe after season 2 of the Netflix Witcher show, I'll get into that. Because I don't want to read those books.
I just want to see Superman can opener some more bitches.
That was awesome. Yeah. I don't know. Cyberpunk looks like it's going to be at least fun. Every time they talk to the balance guy, he answers every question with an answer that wasn't even like questioned out of him. Does that make sense? Like that's probably not worded the best. They asked him about gun balance, and he responds with, "We don't want to make things bullet sponges." Right. Like he doesn't say, "Oh, well, we're gonna make this gun like not do too much damage, but like not too little damage." Like your car salesman answer. But he responds back with like what everybody's thinking. We
don't want bullet sponges.
We don't want bullet sponges. And you're like, well, that is freaking refreshing. That's nice. So like I have high hopes for the game. So based on my track record with that, oh God, it's gonna break my heart probably.
Well, I can't wait to play it. I think it's going to be...
Yeah, I think it's going to be sweet. I think it's going to be real sweet.
Hey, I'm just interested to see how much of an actual loot game it turns out to be as opposed to... Because they said this is a full-blown RPG,
Right.
It's in the style of Witcher. So, like, I really want to see how looty it gets, because to me that could be amazing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So, I think that's it for the first episode. I think we got through what we wanted to get through, did we not?
Yeah, I think so.
So next week, check us out. We're going to be doing divisions in player bases and how that's difficult. We kind of brought it up a little bit on today, talking about Harvest, kind of the more quote-unquote casuals versus the quote-unquote no-lifers.
Right.
But I think that it's really... There are different issues that bring up divisions in players in a lot of games. And I mean, you can see it in different games as well. I remember in old school D2 and old school Path of Exile, the hardcores versus the softcores.
Right.
In WoW, it was the casuals versus the like high-end raiders.
Right. The mythic raiders versus the LFR guys.
Right. There's that division in all games, and that's kind of something we wanted to talk about. So that'll be one of our big topics for next episode, as well as a few other things. So feel free to join us again. If you made it this far, we appreciated having you, and have a good week.
Yep, we'll see you guys next time.